What's up, Radiant Youth? My name is JP. If we haven't met yet, I am the youth director at our East St. Pete location, so shout out to my East St. Pete family. I'm so excited to be here with you tonight, and I want to talk to you about staying consistent in your word. Have you ever had to really put your time, mind, and effort into something that required dedication? For me growing up, that thing was basketball. I fell in love with basketball at a young age and dedicated hours and hours throughout middle and high school doing everything I could do to become better. I'd shoot baskets in my driveway, go through endurance conditioning, play pickup games in the park. As a kid, it was all fun and games. But as I became older and I started playing for my schools, the hard work really set in. Not only was I practicing a ton, but now I had to balance a school workload, extracurriculars, all of it. I had to be disciplined. And discipline is really hard. For some, it comes easy, but for others, it is never truly conquered. Does anyone else feel like this when it's time to practice for band or sports, to do homework or even chores? Nothing is more frustrating than working incredibly hard on cleaning your room only to realize that you'll have to do it again the next day, and the next day. Although discipline may be difficult at times, it's worth it. Whether you see the results of your discipline through making the team or acing the test, the dedication pays off. And honestly, our walk with God isn't much different. Spiritually, if we don't learn discipline, our spiritual life begins to fall apart, and we get frustrated and begin to wonder, where is God and why is he being so quiet? Do you ever struggle to find time to connect with God on a daily basis? Well, tonight, we're going to see in Scripture how we can meet with God often and successfully. In the book of Matthew, Jesus tells us this: "But when you pray, go into your room and shut the door, and pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you." Going into your secret place with God can be difficult at times. You may even be asking yourself, what even is a secret place? Your secret place isn't so much a location as it is a time where you can set aside distractions to be alone with God. So what does this look like for us today? What do we do in our secret place? The secret place is our time to connect with God so that we can build our relationship with him, and in doing so, that builds our faith. So Romans 10:17 tells us just that. So faith comes from hearing, and hearing through the word of Christ. So this means that we need to be daily hearing and reading Scripture in our life. This is the most important way that God will speak to us as Christians. And if God is speaking, I want to be listening. And the time that we can hear God the clearest is in our quiet time. Look, I know, having a quiet time is hard sometimes. Discipline and consistency are not easy, but they are incredibly important. Let me tell you a story about a guy you've probably heard of before. I told you earlier, I'm a big basketball fan. One of the greatest to ever play the game was Michael Jordan. Did you know that in his sophomore year of high school, he was actually cut from his varsity basketball team? Yeah, MJ, that Michael Jordan. He was cut from his high school basketball team, but that didn't stop him. He stayed disciplined, he stayed consistent, and he went on to be one of the greatest of all time and changed the game of basketball forever. And it wasn't because he got better overnight. It was because he did the daily work, the little things. When we prioritize consistency with our daily meeting with God, we truly learn how to walk with God in freedom. So what's our next step in being more consistent with God? James 4:7-8 says this: "Submit to God and draw near to him, and he will draw near to you." An easy way to remember this and to be more successful in keeping your quiet time with God is to do what I do. Find a slot and a spot. A slot is a time you meet with God, and a spot is a place where you meet with God. Schedule your time, find your place. Think about it this way. If you were deathly sick and made an appointment with the doctor, you would not miss that appointment come hell or high water. When you're sick in sin, make an appointment with the great physician and meet with him. So what can we do to make sure we stay connected with God? We prioritize a daily meeting time with God. We find a slot and a spot. We make an appointment with God and we keep it. Radiant Youth, I've loved getting to share about staying connected to God with you. I hope that as you head into small groups, you can lean into finding out ways to carve out time with God. Let's get into small groups and have our best Wednesday yet.